Just back from Dusseldorf, done a few reviews on each of the catamarans we've seen, and now what I'd like to do is I'd like to take you through a short summary of the 4 catamarans. We've not looked at the XS because we didn't like that one too much, but we'd like to take you through the Catana, the Lagoon, the Nautitech and the Fontaine Pajot. So what we'll do is we'll start with some basic statistics. So the 3 boats are very similar in length, they have very similar beam, and all in all the beam to length ratio for each of these boats is pretty much similar, but the Lagoon 42 has the widest beam to length ratio, giving it a slightly higher stability than both the Catana and the Fontaine Pajot. The mast height is similar. Again, the Catana is slightly lower in terms of mast height, so you maybe have to get underneath some of those bridges a little bit more than some of the others. But the Lagoon 42, the Lagoon and the Nautitech 40 have similar mast heights. Couldn't find out the mast height of the Fontaine Pajot, sorry. In terms of keel depth, they're all very similar. The Nautitech 40 has a slightly deeper keel, but it's only marginal. In terms of the main sail area, and this is where they differ quite a bit. So the main sail area of the Catana is quite small, only at 80 metres squared, and then the Lagoon and the Nautitech come in at 90 metres squared, and the Fontaine Pajot comes in at 106. So what does that mean with the unladen weight? I mean, that is the empty boat as much as it can, no anchor, no chain, no, basically the very empty boat. So the sail area displacement comes in at 10.71 for the Nautitech, which is giving it its sort of sail power to weight ratio, whereas the Lagoon and the Fontaine Pajot and the Catana are much less. In terms of engine power versus weight, so it's we read somewhere that the weight you should be looking for is about 5 horsepower per tonne, which means these boats are looking for about 44 or 60 depending on the weight of the boat in terms of horsepower. It looks like the Catana, by standard, the 2 lots of 19 horsepower engines are underpowered for that weight, so you'd need to automatically go for the higher horsepower. Whereas the Lagoon and the Nautitech have well balanced standard power, but the upgrades give you sufficiently more power. And as you can see on the Fontaine Pajot, the 2 lots of 30 horsepower engines are slightly lower than what you should really be looking for. So that gives us a total score of 9 for the Nautitech, 8 for the Lagoon, just coming in second, and then the Fontaine Pajot 7. The Catana, unfortunately, because of that low horsepower and the beam to length ratio and the sail area, really we've rated that as 6. So if we look at the next set of criteria, we're looking at the living space, the owner's cabin. So the Catana is small, it's got poor ventilation, the shower is a bit weird because of those shelves, and the storage seemed to be quite limited, particularly in the owner's cabin. Whereas the Lagoon and the Nautitech scored good on all of them, and the Fontaine Pajot was a little bit more limited in terms of ventilation, so we rated that as okay. When we look at the outdoor area, the space on the outdoor area is good for the Lagoon, the Nautitech and the Fontaine Pajot, but the space on the Catana was a little bit limited. And all 4 boats scored well on shelter and on storage. I must say that the Catana with its garage door meant that you had a good use of space, both outdoor and indoor combined, so we'll come on to that in a second. Then looking at the indoor area, the kitchen was very good on the Catana, it was good on the Lagoon, it was okay on the Nautitech 40, but it was good on the Pajot. This is where the Nautitech has suffered a little bit, on this indoor area. The table space, so the indoor table, was good on both the Catana, Lagoon and the Fontaine Pajot, but again it was okay-ish on the Nautitech. The chart table was good on the Catana, good on the Lagoon, good on the Fontaine Pajot, but actually it was almost non-existent on the Nautitech 40, which was a little bit surprising because we thought that would be part of a standard feature. And then finally, in terms of storage, all 4 boats were okay except for the Nautitech again, which was a little bit undersized for storage. The main living area of the Nautitech seems really quite small, and that's noticeable because the mast step is actually at the windows, whereas some of the others, the cabin goes slightly further forward, giving you a little bit more space. So overall, the score for the Lagoon came out 9, the Fontaine Pajot 8, Nautitech 40, and because of that owner's cabin, we only gave the Catana 5. So let's look at the safety, helm and distance. So for crew safety, the trip hazards, there was none really for the Catana. The Lagoon and the Nautitech had hatch vents or raised hatches, and the Fontaine Pajot had no hazards that we could see. In terms of handrails, the Nautitech and the Lagoon had good handrails. The Catana had a partial handrail, and the Fontaine Pajot had a limited handrail, which was really a bit disappointing. The laugh drive access was good for both the Lagoon and the Nautitech. The actual laugh drive was hidden in a locker for the Catana, which meant that the weakest person of the crew would physically struggle to get the life raft out. And for the Fontaine Pajot, it was okay. It was underneath the stairs up to the helm. In terms of the escape hatch, I've mentioned this before in some other videos. The Catana and the Lagoon, you need to break the glass, which raises a concern in terms of buoyancy. If your catamaran is inverted and capsized, then all of the buoyancy, the air will come out through that hull, giving you limited ability to float, I would have thought. So the Nautitech and the Fontaine Pajot scored better on those. So in terms of helm, the Catana and the Lagoon are both fly helm. They have good levels of control, as do the other two boats, but visibility on the Catana is restricted. You can't really see round to the port side aft quarter. And then the protection, you've got limited protection. You need to install the bimini cover and the surround as well. And then because you're up there on the fly helm, you're limited in terms of, or you're isolated, shall I say. In terms of the Nautitech, it's a stern quarter, so you're out on the rear aft quarters. There's two of them on port and starboard, of course. You've got good control and good visibility when you're coming into mooring. You can see across the front, and you've got limited protection. Again, you'd need a bimini cover or something like that. You're not isolated from the rest of the crew because it's the crew area is very close by. And then finally for the Fontaine Pajot, good control, restricted again on that aft port side quarter. Protection again is equally limited unless you put that bimini frame in, but you wouldn't be so isolated from the rest of the crew. I think I've got to say on the protection, if it's nice weather and you're an autopilot, you're probably not going to be stood at the helm for a long time. But if you are in bad weather and you do need to go to the helm, that's when that protection will become a bit of a problem. So looking at long passages, do we have enough fuel or fridge capacity and water? So all four boats had an okay fridge. Of course you can upgrade those fridges and even freezers. The fuel capacity on the Catana, Nautitech and Fontaine Pajot were over 400 litres, which was good. It is, you are expected to have at least 1/3 of the distance in terms of fuel coverage. So if you're travelling 1,000, 1,200 miles, you'd expect to have 400 miles worth of fuel on board. And then the Lagoon is slightly smaller in terms of its fuel capacity, but of course you could also get some jerry cans etc. on the deck, which is not ideal. Water capacity, now these are standard figures. The water capacity on the Catana is 800 litres, on the Lagoon it's 300 litres, but again you can upgrade to 600. On the Nautitech it's 430, and then on the Fontaine Pajot you've got a whopping 700 litres. So that gives us overall the scores for the Nautitech of 9, for the Fontaine Pajot 7, Lagoon 6 and the Catana 4. Moving on to the last section then. So in terms of engine access, all four boats were good, with the Lagoon slightly more limited in its space, and it was quite difficult to get around the engine. The Nautitech was huge and the Fontaine Pajot was good. The steering mechanism quality, both the Fontaine Pajot and the Catana have got that really strange steering mechanism, and concerns around the autopilot reliability were something that worried me. But on the Lagoon and the Nautitech it's very good quality. On the prop position, all the boats are, of course, the prop is near the rear, with the rudder in front of the prop, except for the Nautitech, which is the other way around, where the prop is in front of the rudder. Now, looking that up and reading a bit about that, the positive side is that when the rear of the boat in choppy water, the propeller won't come out of the water, and therefore you're less likely to get cavitation, etc. But otherwise, the only benefit that I can see of having that prop position slightly forward is it brings the weight of the boat closer to the centre line, and therefore gives you better pitch control in terms of the stability in seas. And then finally, looking at the A category, that's the ocean category, CE kite marking. The boats scored 10, 10, 12, 12 for the Lagoon that is, and 10 for the Catana, which means that they're all going to provide sufficient capacity for us, and that's the unladen weight. So once you start putting in more stowage, etc., of course that number of people will be reduced. So overall then, the Nautitech scores 9, the Lagoon 8, and both the Catana and the Fontaine Pajot score 7. And then the score summary then, so for all of the four, you can see the scores there. The total score for the Catana comes out at 22, the total score for the Lagoon comes up at 31, Nautitech 40 comes out at 33, and the Fontaine Pajot comes out at 29. So all in all, it looks like the Nautitech's come out slightly ahead of the Lagoon and the Fontaine Pajot, and the Catana is towards the bottom. Now, in terms of price, these figures are the best we can do to get a comparable spec. You can see that they're very similar for the Catana Lagoon at about €370, and the Nautitech and the Fontaine Pajot are just below the €350 mark. But of course, this is the very basic specification. You would need to probably add another €100,000 on top of each of these to get a boat which is ready to sail. That's it. Thank you very much.